There are going to be some big shakeups in Leagues 5 as Jagex start to leak information on it on various platforms. The aim this time is to try to make regions more balanced, and the first change that they've done is that the best weapons in the game, the Scythe, T-Bow and Shadow, will drop from any raid, meaning if you pull a purple in the Tombs of Amaska, you could actually get a T-Bow. But does that make you less likely or more likely to pick these regions? But I think it pretty much guarantees that you pick at least one of them, but that will now depend on whether you want the Desert for Missouri, the Fang and the Lightbearer, Core End for Ancestrals, Prayer Scrolls, the Elder Maul and so on, or Morytania for the Bloodshot and Barrows, which does sound like the worst area, but it is the only area that gives you a full set of mage, range and melee armor without having to worry about picking another area. My gut feeling is that most players probably pick Core End, I would guess anyway, and I think Mod Arcane realises that, so he's also moved Vardorvis over to Varlamore, and to access him, you'll need to speak to someone in the northwest of Varlamore, who will then teleport you straight to the boss. You also don't need to complete Desert Treasure 2 in order to access any of the bosses at all. That change is going to give Varlamore a little bit more content, and only really removes the Ultra Ring from Core End. They're also trying to promote group play in raids, and this time if you're in a 500 plus Tombs of Amaska raid, or you're doing hard mode Theatre of Blood and somebody else in the raid gets a purple, everyone in the raid then also gets a purple. However, there isn't a boost in the Chambers of Xeric because you can get multiple purples already. That being said, Mod Arcane believes there is currently a max cap to your purple chance, and the community is interpreting this as 55% chance at the Tombs of Amaska, whether you're in a team or not. But that doesn't really make that much sense, because a 500 solo raid gives a 14% chance, so with our 5 times league boost it would take us to 55% anyway. There's a little bit of confusion right now, and Mod Arcane couldn't remember exactly what he'd done, but incentivizing people to do raids in teams seems to be the aim of what he's trying to do. With the goal in mind of trying to make all regions equal, they're also introducing echo bosses, and there'll be one in each of the regions that you can choose, though everything except the starter locations. These are current bosses but with new mechanics, and it's now being confirmed that each of these will drop a weapon that is a little bit weaker than the current best in slot. However, they will have unique perks, so in some situations may even be better. Some of the most incredibly tedious tasks are also being removed this time, so you can pick Kandarin without worrying about killing thousands of chompy birds or doing laps on the Apatol agility course. And whilst those two were the only specific things mentioned, the aim is clearly to get rid of all tedious tasks, so any other ones that you can think of from the last leagues will probably be removed this time as well. There isn't too many leaks as such, but they are dripping out some information, and it may seem trivial, but the Death to the Dorgashian quest will now automatically be completed, which will give you access to the ham storerooms pretty much immediately. Now, I don't know if you're going to need the 23 agility and the 23 thieving that's usually required to complete the quest in order to steal the keys and loot the chests in here, but even if that is the case, it won't take long at all to get those requirements with the boosted XP rates. And these are going to give us access as an early way to get about 100,000 GP per hour, plus all jewelry up to diamond very early on, although it isn't enchanted, so you are going to need to get your magic level up. For those planning to pick a Skarnia, the Dwarf Cannon quest will be automatically completed in this area, meaning you won't need Kandarin as well. Again, I think keeping up with the idea of trying not to force players to pick certain areas for reasons other than the content within it. And that is also why Desert Treasure 2 bosses don't require the quest to be completed, or in fact the desert to be unlocked first. The Wilderness is also an interesting one because the agility course won't need any money to get the rewards from the dispenser. So at just level 52 agility, anyone picking this area will have access to a way to get about 1 million worth of alcohols per hour, plus high level blighted food and super restores. And with bosses generally given a lot of points and the Wilderness having the easy ones, farming supplies and then killing them may end up being a very viable point strategy. The Wilderness bosses specifically as well also drop a ton of skill and supplies, and all deaths are safe in leagues, so PK deaths are more of an annoyance than anything else. For Morytania, A Taste of Hope is also completed, and all of its many pre-quests that usually take you a very long time to complete, meaning you're only going to need to do a Night of the Theatre and Sins of the Father to access Darkmire and the Theatre of Blood. It's also being confirmed that shop stock will be exactly the same as last time, no changes to it according to Mod Arcane, which insinuates the fire sale could be back as well. Now if you didn't play last time, the shop stock doesn't deplete, so you can do things like spam buy gems from a gem stall, cut them and then sell them back to the shop for a ton of crafting XP and profit too. Plus, if the fire sale relic is back and you choose it, every item's free from a shop and it's also noted. You can go to any shop that sells rune and stock up on millions of alcohols for free, or get unlimited Karambans too. Fairy Tale Part 2 is also going to be unlocked right at the start, and I presume that we can claim a Drayman staff from one of the combat tutors and start using the fairy ring straight away, because it wouldn't make much sense to unlock the quest in the starter region but then require players to unlock a Scania just to get the Drayman staff. This league, Scurrius's drops are also being included in the drop rate multiplier, which is significant as it's already one of the best ways to train your combat skills early on. The battle staff needed for the bone staff can be bought in Varric, and the rune mace can be bought in the Champions Guild. It's only really the U short bow that's difficult to obtain, but you can get one of them from a medium clue casket. Any extra spines that you get here can also be traded in for combat experience, including prayer, and with the multipliers, that is going to be a decent chunk of XP. In Karamja, there's also a couple of early unlocks here too. The Shiloh Village quest is auto-completed, so we can access that area, but more importantly, the Jad challenges are also immediately unlocked, and the last time these gave a ton of points. 80 points each for the first 2 challenges, 200 points each for the next 4, and 400 for completing all of them. Now, no doubt some players will be able to do most of these at a fairly low level, and when you look at that kind of points early on, it will literally boost you up an entire tier if you can do that, and that could be a huge advantage. The last thing that's being confirmed is the spoilers will be back 2 weeks before Leagues 5 starts, so until then I'll be checking every message on Discord, Twitter, the official page and so on, bringing you all of the new information released every single Thursday until those spoilers start.